Welcome to our panel. If you guys would like, you can introduce yourselves with how much information or no information that you would like to.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I am Nicole Pritchard-Hilliard. I am the Dean of Students. And I've been here at PPCC for about a little over 13 years now in various different positions. That's me.
I'll go next. My name is Carolyn Owen, and I am the Recreation and Wellness Coordinator for PPCC. I am also an instructor and have been part of PPCC for a little over 10 years now.
Hi, I'm Donna Haynes, and I am the Associate Vice President for Student Services here at Pikes Peak Community College. Like Nicole, I've had some other roles here at the school, and I've been here for I don't know how many years at this point, but it is a joy to serve.
Awesome. I'm Skylar. I work in student life, kind of dabble in all areas of student life. So it's great to have you guys all here, and let's just get started. What is a life skill that you think every woman should know? Wow.
I was thinking about this earlier today. So I think every woman should know how to drive in the snow, at least if you live in a snow area, because I personally have had to rely on other people getting me unstuck, and they've been very good at it. So I think in that idea of being self-sufficient, we didn't know how to drive in the snow as well as how to do taxis, because they're not as hard as people think. So I think those are two life skills that I think are important.
I'm going to piggyback off Carolyn's. I am a huge fan of driving a standard transmission, and I just feel like everyone should know how to do that. I know as a woman, when I get into a vehicle and I see that it's a stick, I get a little excited because I know I'm going to be engaged in the driving process, and I just love it. I also really think that everyone should know how to bake bread. There's just something so restorative in the process, and it doesn't have to be beautiful, but to know that you can feed yourself, and as a woman to know that I have that craft and that gift in my hands, really, I find it very grounding in the best way for me. It's very supportive and restorative for me.
For me, I think a life skill that every woman should know definitely is how to cook. And it's because you should know how to nourish yourself. It helps with keeping down cost. And I do believe that it is relaxing and meditative. And I think you can bring a lot of joy to yourself knowing how to take care of yourself that way. And I also think it's really important to know how to fix some things around your home. Change a toilet if you need to, or be able to fix a garbage disposal. It's the things that we can do for ourselves that make us feel very empowered in the space we live in, that make us feel very secure. I believe those are the things that help us to be able to give to our community, to give to our home, children, family, what have you, anything that allows you to feel like you are part of the whole. So those are the things.
Awesome. I love all those. Do you believe success is fate or the power of personal choice? Why or why not? We can go in the same old order that you guys entered in the first time if you'd like.
Okay, I guess that means me first. I believe it is, I believe it's a personal choice. But I think, first off, I think the definition of success is kind of the more important part of that question, in that what is success to you? Is it climbing a corporate ladder, or is it raising children, or is it just being able to go into the world and tell the world who you are and your true self? So I think that's just that, what success is part of that personal choice.
Donna, do you want to go?
Sure. You know, I'm the one who always has to mull over things. I like what Carolyn said a lot about taking that time to really define success. I think that when we're younger, success is something that other people carve out, define for us. And as we get older, if we get to get older and we get the space to figure out who we are, we start to realize that what somebody else may have defined as success doesn't necessarily resonate with us. So I really appreciate what Carolyn said about that. I do think that I have contributed to my success, right? I think that I have definitely worked and put in effort and energy to bring things to fruition. I also stand in recognition of the fact that because of where I've lived my life and the things that I've been exposed to, I've had access that set me up for the kind of success that I hope to achieve and to achieve even later. As it, you know, if I every day, every moment is a blessing. So, you know, the success that I hope to achieve in the future, I believe, to a degree, is a. I think that privilege definitely factors into that. I've been exposed to things that some of my peers maybe have not, and that's positioned me to enjoy and see life in a different way from other people, and other people have helped me to see things and help me to grow because of where life has taken them. And so I think it's really an amalgamation of both that hard work that we put into it and where we find ourselves positioned in life.
And so I agree with both my coworkers. I believe that it's both. I think that there are spaces that you get to be in. You, from where you're born, the kind of financial situation your family is born into, the kind of education that you are able to get, and what you're, just a general exposure in life. I think some of that definitely can set you up for how you choose to live your life and what success will mean to you. Could it be just making sure you have a roof over your head? Yes. Could it be getting an education, or just being happy, especially if you come from a place where happiness was not abundant? I believe that you get to stand in front of many different roads, and you're going to take one or two of them, probably two at a time, and you get to choose whether you walk it, whether you run, whether you fall, who gets to help you, and what you do with the energy that you're allowing for any of those choices. So I believe that when you think about success, it is definitely personal. It is growth, it is maturity. But it's the thing that keeps you smiling and that keeps you working. So it's whatever it is in your heart that you are determined to do to feel like you are your best on any day of the week.
Awesome. I'm going to kind of piggyback off of that question and have you guys brag about yourselves. What do you feel like is your biggest success?
So thought this question might be a possibility, and so I was really thinking about it. And there's so many ways to go down this, and I'm gonna just introduce too that in the vein of that, this is sort of a discussing things with women. There's so many ways we can look at it. Is it getting the education that I got? Is it the children that I've raised or are raising? Because I think as women, we tend to go, it's kind of back on that success, right? What is it that defines success specifically for women? And like Donna said, so many people put what that is on us. But so I thought a lot about this, and I'm going to say one of my biggest successes, and I'm going to give an explanation as to why, was when I completed my first Ironman. I became an Ironman triathlete for a while, but it was the very first one that was probably the biggest success, because I proved to myself, one, that I had the discipline to be able to carry through to get there. Two, I could set very, very lofty goals and achieve them. And three, I hesitate to say I didn't have any support, because I certainly had people cheering me on, but it is something that you cannot do without anybody else helping you. And so it was a proof to me that I could take care of myself, even though it was an athletic event. It was proof that for me, I can do something and take care of me without needing somebody else to take care of me. I don't know if that all comes in, but I don't know. I feel like that was a complicated answer to a little question.
I just want to say I am not yet answering the question. I have to applaud you. You couldn't hear me clapping because I had myself on mute and trying to, demonstrate that I'm behaving well in these times when we meet with each other remotely and managing all the background noise. But I applaud you. I celebrate women taking good care of themselves physically. I think sometimes we haven't been taught, encouraged that that's okay to do, especially of a certain age, women of a certain age. I see it now for younger women, and it excites me that it doesn't seem strange to be physically active, but kudos to you. That is awesome.
Thanks. I wasn't going with that, but thank you. So I just have to say I appreciate that a lot. But I think just what you said about there's a lot of things that we aren't really, I think as women, we aren't really taught are important. And just that one event. And I don't want to say that it has to be an Ironman for people, but just lofty goals. It was really an empowering event. And so I hope for other women that they can do something that's that empowering.
So in terms of success, what do I believe is my biggest success? I can't tell you. I feel like I've done a lot of things well, and I appreciate being able to have gotten where I am. I remember getting my master's degree, and I was so excited because I was the first person in my family to attain that level of education and to have doors open for them in a way that other women in my family had not. And I was well supported, but in the same vein, there were lots of people who had never been where I was going. And so having to trust my instincts, trusting that I was on the right path that was mine, that was, I would say, one of the things that I've done that I am so happy that I completed, and I consider a huge success, because as a mother and as a wife, being able to live the life that I thought I'd be able to live, meaning that I was able to be self-sufficient, I can show my daughter the importance of being able to take care of yourself, educated or not, and knowing that I have this independence that I hold on to so dearly, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, those to me are huge successes because I know a lot of people who are still working to get to spaces like this, and I do not take any of that for granted.
That's awesome. Love that.
I'm just so proud of you. I'm so, so proud of you. And it seems so ridiculous to even say it because I know you don't need me to be proud of you, but I think about what you said and the example and what it means to the people you don't even know are watching you. And I've seen, I have the pleasure of getting to work with these women every day, every day. And I say pleasure not because I am being trite or just, being a flattering person. People who know me well know that that's just not my way. These are amazing women, and to see what they're doing excites me because they're people watching. You don't even know who's watching you, and you don't know who's catching some inspiration off you because you were brave enough to take a chance and to be a trailblazer in your own way and to carve out your success. And I'm just so honored to get to know you. I guess I have to answer the question now though, right, Skylar?
Yes, you do.
You notice I tried to dodge hard.
I did. I was about to come back on and be like,
I know. I was not artful there in that dodge. What I would say, there are so many things that I still want to accomplish, and I'm trying to live a reasonably healthy life so that I can squeeze everything in, because the older I get, the more I recognize how quickly it all goes and how easy it has been in the past to take for granted that time would be there that just has a way of dissipating. So when I think about my successes, I think about times that I survived when I didn't think I could. Times going through with kids through hard times and strange financial situations and coming out on the other side and everybody's okay. And maybe we didn't eat what we thought we wanted, but nobody went hungry. Thinking about working through my doctorate, which was a huge dream of mine, it was a lot. I was a trailblazer in many ways, and it was so difficult to convey even to some of my family what that journey was like. And it a lot of times felt very isolating because I didn't have people around me who had gone through the journey and could coach me. I was fortunate. I had really great faculty in my program, and I had a great program. And so I was able to get through, and that brings me joy to, get to play with my grandkids and to see them actually enjoying that time with me. That feels like success. I think that I tend to spend a lot of time being grateful, and I just look at my life even through the challenges, and I think, I have every reason to stand in gratitude. This I don't know anybody who hasn't come through anything. You get a couple of years on you, and you've definitely had to survive something. And I think sometimes for me, the success is simply that I did survive it.
thank you guys for all sharing. I know sometimes it's hard to brag on yourself and be like, I did this, I actually did this. Actually, if I had to answer that, I really don't know what I would say. So thank you guys for answering. Um, I guess my next question would be if you had any advice on reaching a dream or how you got to reaching these successes, what would your advice be for younger women, younger people?
Ask for help when you need it. I think that would be one piece of advice that I would give. I was way too stubborn for way too long in my life about I can do everything. I don't need anybody. Um, and then learning the value of there is no I in team, and it was a pretty huge thing for me about you don't have to do 100% of everything by yourself. You have cheerleaders as well as team members, and they can really help you achieve your goals and to take them up on it.
I will say that don't let one failure blindside you to quitting your dream. Don't do that. There's so many dreams I've stopped and started and stopped and started. It's so funny. But I find that every time I go back to the drawing board, I'm not going back the same way because I have best practices now. So where I wouldn't have wanted people to help me, I'm willing to take the support. Where I wouldn't have asked questions, I ask the questions now. Never be embarrassed about that. Never be embarrassed that what dream you thought you had, maybe not the original dream. I mean, when I started college, way back in the day, I was I was a I was a voice major. And so I had gotten a scholarship to sing, and I was singing opera. And I thought that that was my dream. And then one day I met a girl who was studying psychology, and I thought, that'd be awesome. It took me 3 different tries to finally get to psychology. And it really was my dream. It was amazing, and it's something I cherish. I love thinking about people and what people are thinking and why they do what they do. But had I really not been willing to fall and kind of scuff my knee a little bit, dust off, and figure out the next route, I definitely wouldn't be where I am. Just don't be scared to make that mistake. And have grace with yourself. Have grace. It doesn't matter where you are in your life. Give yourself permission to be okay where you are in the present, and be okay with not knowing exactly what the future is looking like as long as you're working towards it. I think those are the things that are really important.
I like everything that they both said. I think that it's so important to be willing to ask for help and to embrace the humility that coincides with recognizing that you just can't do it all. It is impossible. And frankly, I don't even think it's worth doing to even try to do it all by yourself. I think it's also super important to surround yourself with people who are going somewhere. I have found that as I look in my friendship, through my friendships in the past, and I'm the type of person who holds on to friendships. I believe friendship is so, so important. And it's, I think, part of why I've been able to thrive through so many of life's challenges. But you got to surround yourself with people who are going somewhere, people who are about something, who will challenge you and not let you get away with being less than who you are. Because sometimes it's, my dad used to say, Donna, you're responsible to do your best. Okay. And your best is going to look different every day, but you're responsible to do your best in that day. And I think when you're surrounded by people who won't let you get away with less than your best, it helps you to stay focused on being who it is you came into this world to be. None of us came here to be the other. That's why I love this group of women so much. Each of us we're here with our own sets of strengths and our own sets of challenges. And if you put us all together, we're just so amazing, right? The challenges, the weaknesses that may exist get covered by each of the strengths that we each possess. And I think I couldn't be who I am. I couldn't even approach trying to create excellence if I weren't surrounded by people who were willing to lift me up. So get yourself a good crew, good people. And when you find that somebody isn't good for you, be okay letting it go. It is absolutely okay and imperative to set boundaries on how you let people have access to you. And I think as a woman, that is something that it takes us a little longer to get to. A lot of us have what my former boss used to call good girl-itis. And so we're always trying to make people happy as long as those people aren't us. And I think it's okay to recognize that our happiness is important and to set appropriate boundaries and to keep people in our lives who help us to be more excellent.
Awesome. I love it. What? No, let's do, how do you implement self-care that actually sticks? And what is your favorite self-care that you do for yourself?
I don't want to answer this one. I need to hear what Donna and Nicole have to say because I'm bad at it.
I'll go. So self-care for me, I love to meditate. Okay, I love to meditate. And anyone who's ever like meditated with me or done yoga with me, I tell you, I will meditate to DMX and Wu-Tang if that's what needs to happen in that moment, to clear space for myself. I'm a paranormal romance nerd because I don't know, it just works for me. And I'm an anime nerd. So all those things, I love to put myself in a space where I'm around good people. I love to laugh ridiculously hard, like so hard I stopped breathing at some point. But I love to read, and I just think self-care is where you feel most comfortable and where you feel most safe, and implement it many, many times during the week, during the day, so that you can always come back to yourself. So I will say meditation, reading a lot, laughing a lot, and surrounding yourself with good people. Those are definitely my means of self-care. And love, self-love, love yourself.
I agree with all of that. I love the laughter. I laugh a whole lot. Again, anybody who knows me knows that I'm going to look for humor in most situations, and my sense of humor can be a little off. So I do recognize that I sometimes just need to keep certain jokes to myself. But I am a journaling fool. I have journals all over the place. I am almost never without some writing instrument and some paper. Even if it is a receipt, I will write on it. I tend to process so much better and manage myself better when I give myself space to just be expressive. I don't have to hold on to the writing. It does not have to be grammatically correct. The penmanship does not have to be perfect. I can just be. And that to me is the epitome of my self-care. I am also the queen of a good home spa day. I love hair day. And so my self-care routine around hair day, I pretty much make the world stop for a few hours. And that is so restorative to me. I just love it. I mean, I might watch a whole lot of bad stuff on Netflix. I know people think that I tend to be really serious, and that's definitely, it coincides with my role. I have to take my work seriously. but I have just, I think, a very impish sense of humor that is occasionally inappropriate. And so watching bad stuff on Netflix while I'm just indulging in my hair day it just, it gets me going.
How are you feeling now, Carolyn?
Jealous. Actually, I was just gonna say, Nicole, I might have to ask for help with some meditation because I've been trying it and it's just not working. I can't get my mind to shut down.
Come on over, I'll help you out.
Awesome.
I think I'll answer it because I like self-care. For me, I like to journal a lot. I like to write a lot. One thing that really gets me to calm down and just focus on me is cooking. I like to just cook a big old meal, even if I'm not gonna eat it all. I have leftovers for days. Um, but I just, for some reason, I just relax and all I'm focused on is cooking and the food. And I don't know, it's just something that I enjoy a lot and it calms me down, weirdly enough. Um, and speaking of laughing, do you think you will be a grumpy old grandma or a fun grandma?
I'm a fun grandma who's strict. I'm a grandma who likes people to have clean hands before they touch food. But I just love to laugh and I love to read stories and I love to do the voices in books because how else would you read these books? So yeah, just a fun grandma. Let's go play in the dirt because we can. And I think that's the fun of being the grandma, because when you're the parent, you're so freaked out and stressed out about doing everything right, which newsflash, impossible. So, that's a lesson I wish I had learned much sooner than I did. So I'm really enjoying embracing this just silly grandma person who still believes in clean hands and regular bathing. I think hygiene's pretty important.
I think I'm gonna be a fun grandma, but I'm gonna go to Donna for advice when that happens.
I really hope I'm kind of an amalgamation of both my grandmothers, because they both were very independent and they were loving in their own way. So one taught me, you have to work. As a woman, you have to work, because you need to make sure you can take care of yourself. And the other one was like, you got to work, but you also get to go to Atlantic City and spend some of that money. So I love the idea of just making sure that my grandchildren, one day, if I have them, that they know that life is not all serious, that you do need to have all the tools to take care of yourself, and that they can do that, but also that they can laugh, they can play, they can be messy, because it won't be my house. Like, I'm going to do all this stuff at their parents' house, and then that way I don't have to clean anything up, and then I can just leave, like call it, yeah, Mary Poppins it, except without all the British. Like, that's what I'm going to do. So that's what I hope I leave my grandkids.
I am so using that in the future, Nicole. I love that. I'm gonna Mary Poppins it.
Just Mary Poppins, just pop in there, do all the dirt you want, and then leave. And be like, deuces, I'm out.
You all are so wrong and so funny, and I just love you.
Just give lots of Play-Doh to people, lots of Play-Doh. Just, here you go.
Play-Doh gets in the carpet.
I know.
Oh dear. Oh dear. See, Skylar, now we've all been turned loose.
I know. I have another fun question though, so let's just keep going on the trend. If you could choose a song to tell the story of your life, what would it be?
Donna's laughing real hard in her office. Okay. Today, I will say today my song would be Janelle Monáe, I Like That. That's what I'm going to go with. it changes.
Nice. I don't have a song that I could say was the story of my life, but the song that I like is like a theme song would be U2's Beautiful Day, because that is the song that if I am in a bad mood, just turns me around completely, and I end up I can do it at work and be productive. I can see that song, hear that song in an exercise and work harder, or I can just start dancing and it makes me smile.
This is the worst question ever. I have the most difficult time, and since I've already shared with you all that my sense of humor is off, I'm just going to have to help you see by the example I'm about to provide that my sense of musical taste may be a little off center as well. So I'm about to date myself pretty significantly. Stand by. For any of you who ever watched the show The Greatest American Hero, you'll remember the theme song. And I just love that theme song. And so if there is a song that could tell the story of my life, and yes, I hear you laughing over there.
I was just thinking, if we don't know it, can you sing it for us?
Listen here, I'm not singing it because I recognize there are also copyright laws and we need to be attentive to the law. And so, Carolyn, the next time I'm up in the gym, I will definitely play you a snippet from my Spotify, because you know that this is on my Spotify music list. But it's Believe It or Not. And I think that it just is such a fun, powerful anthem. I think about that song too, and who doesn't love Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive? But I think sometimes when people looked at me or where I could go, or at least my perception of what I thought people thought about me, I thought people saw me as small and incapable. And so when I hear that song, it reminds me of just what a bumbling sort of superhero this guy was, really and truly. Get on YouTube and watch a clip or something. A really bumbling superhero, but still a hero. And so I think about that, okay, I may not come across as the most delicate, the most articulate and best equipped, but doggone it, I am still going to commit myself to making somebody's day better. And so that has to be the song, at least today.
I love it. Okay. What is one of your favorite silly habits that you have?
I don't know. I can't answer this question. Yeah. Okay, maybe I am really, okay, I know. I am really good with nutrition. I am really good at nutrition. Every day I eat really well. But when I give in and eat a cookie, and I'm not saying you're not allowed to eat cookies. That's just, I don't eat a lot of cookies. But when I eat cookies, I eat 17 of them.
That's impressive.
Or more.
That is impressive. I feel like I need to bring cookies and that song to the gym.
Please don't.
Let me know what day you'll be here so I work from home.
No, this will not happen. Silly thing that I do. I pull a full-on concert in my car. So I will go ahead, get my favorite playlist, and let me tell you, it's crazy because it's probably got some Aerosmith on it, and then some Jay-Z, and then just for kicks, it's probably got some Bell Biv DeVoe. Yeah, I just dated myself, and nor do I care, okay? But it's gonna have a whole bunch of stuff on it, and from the time I leave this college to the time I get home, I will be exhausted having thrown my own personal concert in the car.
I don't think I can touch any of that. I think my habits are more concerning than they're silly. And so I'm like, oh gee, I don't think I have any fun ones. I have a bit of a lipstick addiction that I'm finding challenging to manage through COVID because the mask situation. I just, have probably 10 to 15 lipsticks or glosses in most of my purses. And just in case I don't have enough lipstick in the main purse, I have a tiny purse that is inside my purse that has even more lipstick. I don't know that that's silly or fun. To me, I think it's probably, a sign that I should not buy more lipstick, but that's what I got for you.
I love it. I love it. Let's see. What is the kindest thing someone has done for you? And then I'm going to add a part two. What's the kindest thing you feel like you've done for someone else?
The kindest thing, mine's actually super deep. So I don't know if you guys want to go first, because I might cry, actually. So do you guys want to go first, or do you want me to just go ahead and totally change the mood?
I think you should go.
I think you should go.
Okay. So I am a cancer survivor, and I don't tell that to a whole lot of people, but when I was first diagnosed, my mom called me up, and it's my mom who is the kindest thing anybody's ever done for me. And I think this is more the love of a mother that has this, and I'm already starting to cry. It's a good thing we're not on camera. So when I was first diagnosed, my mom called me up and she says, Carolyn, you're gonna be fine. and I, in my mind, I was already writing goodbye notes to everybody that I loved. And I said, Mom, thanks for telling me that. She says, no, you're going to be fine. And regardless of how anybody feels about faith, this is what happened. And this was a very powerful experience for me. So she says, you're going to be fine, because I prayed harder than I've ever prayed in my entire life for God to give me your cancer and for you to get past this. And and I took that as a lot of kindness and a very nice thought and some nice sentiment from my mom. 4 years after that, my mom was diagnosed with her second round of breast cancer. And so, and she said to me, Carolyn, if this is what I get for you coming out of your cancer okay, then I'll take it every day. And that was a very powerful thing, one, from a mother, and two, something that somebody would be willing to sacrifice for me.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you for sharing that, Carolyn. It actually almost bringing me to tears. I have a few spots that are looking cancerous on me, so it's kind of hitting close to home. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, it can come talk to me, Skylar, because it can take you into some scary places psychologically, for sure.
Thank you for sharing that, because that was absolutely beautiful. And as someone who had to have her own screening about a year or two ago, I know how scary that is. And so I'm happy that you were okay. And your mother sounds like a beautiful person. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and go. And I'm very blessed that there have been many kind things that have been done for me throughout my life. And I take none of them for granted. But I will say, one of the things that stands out for me, so a standout moment, was I was flying on I was in flight business trip to a conference. And I don't like flying. It's a control issue. I like to be in control, and I have not become a pilot yet in life, so therefore I cannot fly a plane. And it was a lot of turbulence, and somehow I had dozed off. And when I when I woke up, it was probably the worst of the turbulence. And the person next to me was a gentleman next to me. And he put his hand on my shoulder and he whispered in my ear, "Don't worry, you're safe. You're okay." And I remember I kind of like, for a moment, because I was so scared, I had tears coming down my eyes. And I said, "Thank you." And I kind of just put my head back on the side of the chair, the opposite side. And when we were leaving, so as we got to our destination and everybody's coming off their flight, I see him and I see him with a group of people. And one of them, she says to him, "Okay, so we're getting ready to bury dad. So I just want to pray before we do so." And I thought to myself, that's amazing. Like in the time of what probably is his own grief, he found the need to comfort somewhere else, and he did it in such a sweet way. It was it was such a warm way, and it was safe, and I just couldn't thank him enough for that, because at that moment I needed that. And so I will say that that's one of the standout moments in my life where someone has done something very kind for me. Yeah.
I think I've experienced a lot of kindness in general. I think that people have typically been willing to help me. And that's something that I say pretty frequently, that, you know, people always do such nice things for me. And so it's really, really hard for me to land on one when there's so many beautiful things. You know, as a former military spouse, you know, you go through the deployments, you do all this stuff, and your head is full and you're juggling kids and you're trying to keep things normal. And I think about the people who would bring by a meal or mow the grass or make sure the car got washed, so that wasn't something I had to think about, or a place where I had to expend any bandwidth. And I think those things those mean so much to me. Those moments where somebody demonstrates that they see you and that they recognize your humanity, and that even if you're not in a space where you're saying that you need help, that they're still trying to figure out how to demonstrate to you that you have value. I mean, my goodness, the time that somebody just smiles at you and you've had the worst kind of day, but they smile and you feel it from your toes to the roots of your hair, those kindnesses, those mean so much to me. They have a way of sticking with me for years on end. And, you know, I just feel like I've received so much kindness. Again, I can't help but be grateful.
Thank you guys for sharing that. Let's see. What is your love language?
My love language is, well, it depends on which way, right? Like what love language do I speak, and then what language do I hear? I speak gift giving, to the point where I'm a quilt maker. I guess that's my self-care. Now that I could go back to that question, is that I make quilts. But the funny thing about it is that I give them all away. So whenever I spend hours and hours and hours making a quilt, it never winds up in our own home. But and then, but in terms of what I hear though, is I like words of affirmation. I just like, if I give you a gift, it will mean the world to me if you tell me how awesome my gift is.
I'll say for me, it's acts of service and words of affirmation, because I like to do things for people. And I like to, come home and there are things done for me that have been very helpful and I didn't have to ask. But also, letting others know what they mean to me, that's really important, because you're only guaranteed the present. So the moment that you are actually having that conversation in that space. And so I find that it is really important to let people know what you feel about them. And I like to know how others feel about me. Hopefully it's mostly positive. But those are my love languages.
Yep, I'm kind of like Nicole there. I speak and hear acts of service. I will, in fact, with no malintent in my heart, love you, love you, love you with food. I love to cook for people. It is how I love people, is with food. I do also like to hear words of affirmation. Again, we all grow up with our challenges and our own self-doubts and the stuff that, we get handed and the stuff we're wired to get to work through in our lifetimes. And so hearing how people see me, even if it's critical feedback, and I recognize that sometimes that doesn't necessarily feel loving, but if somebody loves you enough to tell you the truth and to tell you in a way that you can hear it, I think that means a lot to me. It means that somebody's willing to invest in me, where a lot of people are very, very happy to say pretty words to you that don't mean a whole lot. It means nothing to them. It means nothing to you. When somebody loves you enough to tell you the truth because they want your best, that means a lot to me. I tend to struggle with gifts. That's really, really hard for me. It's really, really hard. I have a gift that somebody gave me in November that I've still not yet opened. And not because I didn't appreciate the person or appreciate the gift. It is so hard for me to work through getting a gift and believing that I deserve it, and that which is so counter to the purpose of a gift, that it just takes me a while. But you can love me to death with food too. I mean, I am totally okay with that. Just no carbs during the week, unless they're veggies.
Noted.
Okay, I think for our last question, what is your biggest dream? And this can be realistic or unrealistic.
I gave a lot of thought to this question too, and I'm going to answer it a little bit differently. I hope you don't mind, Skylar.
Go for it.
Okay, because I'm going to kind of go back onto one of the dilemmas that women have. Is our dreams tend to change, and I think at some point, although I will say, I think Nicole said it earlier in an example earlier about it's okay to fail and that you can kind of change, and her majors changed and such, and that dream can change. And I think that's the key, is learning how to go with that change. Because for me, one of the things I see is that women tend to have dreams and then their lives change and then they stop having dreams. And I think that is a pretty big problem for women in general. I will say, I will 100% say that I am one of those people who stopped dreaming. And I just started taking care of children and taking care of a husband, and just thought, okay, whatever falls in my lap is what's going to happen, and I'm not quite sure where that's going. And I lean back to that, going to get help from people, in that sitting down with somebody who you admire and asking them how they got there is a big component of helping yourself figure out your dreams. And I'm not answering the question you asked, because I feel like that is a challenge that a lot of women, as they go through their life, have, and that's okay. And it's okay to start redreaming. Because I'll tell you right now, I couldn't tell you what my big dream is as of today.
I feel that, Carolyn. I really, really do. I knew when I'm pretty decent at setting goals and attaining goals, and I understand that. If you asked me for a simple little goal that I've got right now, and it's the goal that I did not achieve last year. I really, really want to do a pull-up unassisted. And it sounds so basic, but this is a lot of human to pull up on a bar, and I want to do it with good form, and I want the strength that it takes to get there. But when you talk about a dream feels so big, and I'm not even quite sure that I believe that I'm allowed to have that. And so that's why I say I feel you, because there is that spot where you're like, look, you've got things you have to accomplish. And so for me, there's such different things. It's a very different thing to have a goal and a purpose and to feel like you understand your purpose. And even that shifts, right? Because my kids are old. I don't have that same level of involvement with them that I did 10, 15 years ago. So I've had to make some changes in what my goals look like, but I haven't quite got to a place where I feel like I'm ready to dream.
So when I think about my dreams, I kind of think about it kind of like Alice in Wonderland. It's the idea that, there's an adventure around every corner. You don't really know who you're going to meet. You don't know what you're going to learn. So my dream is to always be open to learning and to be curious and to create space for others where they don't feel judged, where they can learn to love themselves and have grace, where they can have a bad day, make mistakes, and still brush themselves off and get back up. And to help others really just, my dream would be for people to just love themselves a little bit more than they do, and to care for themselves a bit more, because it is only when you do that do you really even have the option of dreaming. I mean, dreaming is huge, like Carolyn and Donna said, it's huge when you think about it. So it really is more of a goal for me to not add misery to someone's life, to give love where I can give it, and to give space where people need it, and to be the best person that I know that I can be for myself. And then that somehow leads others to hopefully be themselves. That's my dream. I hope I answered that.
Thank you, guys. Carolyn, did you have something to add?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think you answered that really well, Nicole. That was nice.
Thank you.
This is such a good group of ladies. I feel so fortunate.
I agree.
I do too.
I do too.
Yep. Can't wait to see everybody in the gym.
Now that I know your goal of pull up, I might have to take over.
Yeah, the guys have worked really hard with me, and bless them. Were it not for COVID, I think I would have got there. But that was a disruption that none of us were looking for. And, my heart hurts for people who have been significantly and seriously impacted by this. This has not been an ideal situation for so many. And I feel so blessed to get to see how people have figured out how to be loving and kind in the midst of so much pain.
I think that's one of the things that just helps us all get through it, is having people in our world that are loving and kind and understanding.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe so. I believe so. The idea that we can all just treat each other like humans
Yeah.
and understand that like nobody gets out of life unscathed, right?
Yeah.
And so I know if I'm going through something, I don't need to know that you're going through something to actually treat you with respect and dignity.
Right.
And, to walk away when it's not healthy for me and to ask if there's something you need and to help you at least get turned towards the resources you need in case you need them. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Does anyone have any other closing thoughts?
I think these are amazing ladies, and I think that it's just an honor to get to work with women who are about something, and they're perfect in their imperfection, and they are appreciative of the moments. And these women celebrate each other, they celebrate me, and I feel restored getting to be in their presence. Even though right now we're in this remote setting, I just feel so thankful to get to spend any amount of time. And that does definitely include you, Skylar. And so I'm just grateful. Thank you for creating space and opportunity, and for putting up with all the giggles that we did before we started recording, because we were quite silly. Thank you.
Thank you guys. I'm proud of all of you for sharing. I know we got deep there for a while, and I know it's hard sometimes to share that stuff. So thank you all. Yeah, and if there's nothing else, I want to thank everyone for joining and listening to us, and yeah, have a great day. So stop.